Let's face it, running your own interior design business can feel overwhelming. But guess what? You don't have to do it alone. I am so excited to introduce a brand new way to get the support you need. One-on-one mentorship with me, Laura Thornton, your interior design bestie. In just one focused hour, we'll dive into whatever you need most, whether that's pricing strategies, client management, presentations, attracting clients, building up a repeat business, or just getting out of the hamster wheel. You'll get clarity, strategy, and expert advice based on my 28 years of running a thriving business and over the last decade, a seven-figure design firm. This is your chance to get real answers to the questions you've been dying to ask from someone who's actually been there and is currently still walking the walk. Book your session as you need it. There are no strings attached. You'll walk away with personalized, actionable advice that you can implement right away. One-on-one, 1-hour sessions as you need it. Head to the website or click the link in the show notes to book your mentorship session, and let's build a beautiful, profitable business that you've been dreaming of together. Welcome to the Business of Beautiful Spaces, a podcast that's specifically for interior designers and decorators. This is the podcast for designers and decorators who love creating beautiful spaces, but also know that building a profitable business, it what makes it all sustainable. Hi, I'm Laura Thornton, and after nearly 30 years in the interior design industry and building a seven-figure design firm, I know firsthand how lonely it can feel running your own business. Making big decisions without a boardroom, without a business partner, or another executive team member to walk things through. That's exactly why this podcast exists. Think of me as your interior design bestie, the place you come for honest conversations, real action items, and a clear to-do list that you can apply today to move the needle forward and improve your bottom line. And if you can't get the answers you're looking for here, one-on-one mentorship with me is always available because no designer and decorator should have to figure this out alone. My goal with every episode is simple: to help you build a more profitable, confident design business and propel you into sustainable, successful future. So let's dive in. Welcome back to another episode of the Business of Beautiful Spaces. This podcast is specifically for you, interior designers and decorators who want to build beautiful, profitable, and sustainable design businesses. Today, I want to talk about something I know a lot of designers quietly struggle with, and that is your social media feeds. They look beautiful, your projects are stunning, your visuals are polished, but the inquiries are just not coming in. And I want to start by saying this really clearly. A beautiful feed does not automatically create a booked out interior design business. And it can support your business, absolutely, and it can create credibility and it can show your aesthetic, but it can also help people understand your style. But if your content is only beautiful and not strategic, then you might be attracting admiration instead of action. So people are looking at your work and thinking, oh my gosh, that is gorgeous. I'd love to have that. I need to hire her, but I probably can't afford her. And that's the shift that we are going to talk about today, because your social media should not just be a portfolio. It can be a communication tool. It can help potential clients understand who you are, what you do, how you help, and what problems you can solve, and why they should take the next step with you. And what is the next step? How do I work with this designer? A lot of designers are posting finished rooms and pretty details and material palettes, behind the scenes photos, all types of inspirational images. And those things absolutely have a place. But if that is only what your audience sees, they might not understand the value behind the work. They might not understand the strategy that went into that floor plan. They definitely may not understand the budget conversations that you navigated to get that finished product. They might not understand how you solved storage issues, improved flow in the home or in the commercial space, managed the trades, sourced the custom pieces, or saved the client from making very expensive mistakes. All they see is the pretty room. They don't see the professional expertise behind it. And this is often where the disconnect happens. So the first question I want you to ask yourself is, does my content show the value of working with me, or does it only show the final result? Because clients are not going to hire you simply because you can make something look beautiful. They hire you because they believe that you can make the process easier, better, smoother, and more successful than if they tried to do it alone. So your content can teach them that, instead of just showing them the final result. So instead of only posting beautiful living room, talking about the challenges behind the room, maybe the layout was awkward. Maybe the client needed durable fabrics because they have kids and pets. Maybe the room had to function for entertaining in addition to quiet evenings and then everyday family life. Maybe the original floor plan was not working and you had to completely rethink that space. And that story, that builds trust. That second thing to consider and whether or not your content is speaking to the right person. Sometimes designers create content that other designers love. I know that I have a ton of designers in my followers on social media, and they're clearly not going to not going to be hiring me to do their homes. The styling is beautiful and the photography is stunning and the language is industry focused, which makes sense because I understand what they're saying and the details are impressive. But our ideal clients, they may not understand that. They may not see themselves in that space. So your potential client is not always looking for the same things that other designers are noticing. They might be wondering, can this designer help me figure out where to start? Will they understand my lifestyle? Can they manage my budget? Will they make the process less stressful? Will I be able to buy back my time? How do they work on homes like mine? Do they work in my area? Do they offer the level of service that I need? Will I feel heard? So your content can start answering those questions right away for your client, potential client. So that does not mean that you have to be over salesy. That's the last thing I know most of us want to be. It just means you need to be clear. And the clearer you can be, the more inquiries you're going to get. Don't worry about trying to sound like you know all the jargon and all the fancy words. That actually is just going to be intimidating and it's going to deter and do the exact opposite of what you want. Clarity is one of the most underrated parts of marketing. And you can have the most beautiful brand in the world, but if someone lands on your profile and doesn't know what you do, doesn't understand what you offer, where you work, who you serve, and how to inquire, then we're making it too hard for them. And people do not usually work too hard to hire you. They're gonna move on. So let's take a look at your profile and ask yourself, is it obvious that I'm an interior designer? Is it obvious where I work? And is it obvious what type of projects I want to take on? Or is it obvious to the person how to reach out to me? And is there a clear next step? So your bio, your pin post, your captions, your highlights, all your calls to action, they matter. And the third thing I want you to think about is your messaging. A lot of designers are afraid to say the same thing too many times, but the truth is your audience needs repetition. So you might feel like you have said it 100 times, but your audience may only have heard it once or twice. So people are busy. People are scrolling really quickly. They are not studying every post. So you need to repeat your core message often. Tell people what you do. Tell them who you help. Tell them what you problem solve. Tell them what your process looks like. Tell them when to hire you. Tell them why early planning matters. Tell them what happens when clients wait too long to bring in a designer on the project. This is not boring. This is helpful. You are educating your clients, your future clients, before they even reach out. We're making our job easier. And that education is what's going to build confidence. And the fourth issue that I see many designers not inviting people to take action. And it might be that, it says it to write it here and people don't, but they DM you because they don't want it to come up either. And they don't want their followers and people that they know to see what you've written. So they'll DM you. I promise you. I don't have a lot of comments in any of my social media, but I get a ton of DMs. And at first it used to be like, why are we doing this? I know I'm supposed to do this because it's marketing jargon, but then they write me privately and that's okay. You can start a conversation and you can start that communication and teach the client or answer any questions or just they get that, obviously that they just get more comfortable in reaching out to you. So they post something beautiful, they write a lovely caption, and then they end it without telling the reader what to do next. So it's such a simple fix. You can say things like, if you're planning a renovation this year, now is the time to begin the design process. Our studio is currently accepting new projects for spring and summer. Please visit the link in our bio to inquire. Not sure where to start with your home? Our full service design process was created to guide you from conception, the concept to completion. And before you choose a finish or call a contractor, bring in a designer to help you create a clear plan. You don't need to sound pushy. That didn't sound pushy. It sounds like you're just saying, now's the time and we're here to help you. But you need to sound available and you need to sound confident. And people need to know that you're open for inquiries. And if you've ever talked about your services, your process, or your availability, your audience may assume you're too busy, too expensive, not taking on projects, or only posting for inspiration. This has literally happened to me. Oh, Laura, we know you're too busy, so we didn't want to reach out. And I was like, no, you need to reach out. Reach out, please. Reach out. So this is something that don't be intimidated by it, because people do think you're too busy and won't reach out. So the fifth thing, your content should build trust before you sell. So trust comes from showing the way that you think. It comes from showing your process. It comes from showing that you understand the client experience. Talk about what happens during a consultation. Talk about how you begin a project. Talk about why budgets matter. Talk about how you can help clients make decisions so they don't have decision fatigue. Talk about what can go wrong when design decisions are made out of order. These are the posts that often turn quiet followers into inquiries. And because someone may have been watching you for months, they might love your work, they might be waiting, and they might feel unsure. They are waiting for that moment where they think, she gets it, she understands what I need, I'm pretty sure I can trust her with my project. And your job is to create more of those moments. So what you should post if your feed is beautiful but not converting, let's start with these 3 content categories. First, post about problem-solving content. Show the challenge behind the design. Talk about what was not working and how you solved it, because that's what we do. Yes, we make things look beautiful, but the reality is usually there's a problem or they don't love something and we have to fix it. Second, post process content. Explain what it is like to work with you. Walk people through the stages of a project, what they can expect. Third, let's post client education content. Teach them what they need to know before they renovate, before they buy anything for furnishing, or before they build. Fourth, post authority content. Share your point of view, talk about what you believe makes a project successful, and explain why certain design decisions were made. Lastly, post invitation content. Let people know how to work with you and then how to reach out to you and then what the next step is. You don't need to abandon the beautiful content. You just need to give it more purpose. A pretty photo with no context is really just simply nice. A pretty photo with a story, a lesson, a problem solved, or a clear next step becomes marketing. And that's what you need to remember. Your feed should not only prove that you've got good taste, it should prove that you are the right guide for this client's project. Because when someone is investing in their home, we all know it's a lot of money. It doesn't matter, what room it is. They're not just looking for pretty. They're looking for confidence. They're looking for clarity. They're looking for someone who can lead them through decisions and avoid costly mistakes while creating a result that feels deeply personal and tailored, beautifully executed for them. So if your feed is beautiful, but the inquiries are not coming in, do not assume your work is not good enough. That is rarely the issue. The issue may be that your audience is admiring your work, but they do not know yet how to understand your value. Your job is to connect those dots for them. Show the beauty, absolutely, but also show the expertise behind what made it beautiful. Show the finished room, but also show the decisions that made it work. Show all the pretty details, but also talk about the planning, the process, and the problems that you solved. And most importantly, invite people to the next step. Because your ideal client may already be watching, they may already love your work, they may already be imagining what it'll be like to have your design in their home, but they need clarity and they need confidence, and sometimes they need a simple invitation. So here is your first action step for the week. Go look at your last 9 posts, because that is what people see. That is like the invitation to scroll more. So if it's not pretty all the time, they're not going to look for the rest of them. But I want you to ask yourself, would a potential client understand what I do? Would they understand how I can help them? Would they know the next step to take? Would they see the value in hiring me or just the beauty of my work? If the answer is no, then that's not a problem. That's an opportunity. So this week, create one post that explains your process, one post that tells a story behind a project, and one post that invites people to inquire about your business. These little small shifts in your messaging can create big shifts in your business. And before we wrap up, a big shift I'm hoping to make this year is moving the needle forward on the amount of people that follow the show. We have thousands of listeners every week, but they just aren't hitting the follow button. And hopefully you will oblige and would you go and give us a rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or anywhere that you love to listen to this show. It really helps other designers discover it too, and I would be forever grateful. Thank you so much for listening to The Business of Beautiful Spaces. I hope this episode helps you look at your marketing with fresh eyes and remember that your work is beautiful. It deserves to be seen, understood, and hired. Until next week, keep designing.